fluffy four-legged creature roaming around your house? Do you prefer dogs or cats? Do you know that animals all around the world are being killed every day due to animal testing? Animal testing is unethical because it is cruel, ineffective, and harmful to the environment, and I do not think that it should be continued as a form of testing. A January 13th, 2024 article from the Regulatory Review states that over 110 animals die each year around the world through animal testing. This is an extremely large number, and it shows the amount of animals that we are putting through suffering every day. And additionally, there are so many animals that aren't being put to death every day that are also just being tested on, which is going to be hundreds and hundreds of more millions. A May 28th, 2024 article by the World Animal Foundation shows the countries that do the most animal testing. So as you can see, there's the United States, China, Japan, the European Union, Australia, Canada, and New Zealand. But the United States is the highest number by 4 million, and it just keeps on getting higher and higher amongst all the other countries. To help us see why animals should not be tested, let's first look at why animal testing is cruel and it causes major pain and suffering. Second, let's look at why animal testing is ineffective. And third, we're going to look at why animal testing is harmful to the environment. Let's move on to the first main point about how animal testing is cruel and it causes major pain and suffering to the animals. A July 6, 2022 article by the National Library of Medicine explains the various ways that animals are experimented on and that there's major maltreatment and they are being put in very rough conditions. These animals endure immense amounts of pain and suffering through the ways that different things are tested, and they go through hostile procedures that leave them in restraints for hours, such as this image, crushes their spines and skulls, has needles in their eyes, they're injected with diseases, and even have wires placed into their brain. There has also been footage released that shows images and videos of animals who are wailing in pain, and a January 20th, 2017 article by Beacon News shows this image, which is a rabbit being restrained for testing. It's one of the most tame images that I could find, yet it shows a rabbit who is definitely, you can't even imagine the stress that it's being put on while it's in these restraints and unable to move. And so it's obviously very difficult and sad just to see this image. So there's definitely much worse in the world of animal testing. So now that we have talked about the cruelty of animal testing, let's move on to discuss why animal testing is ineffective. There are many reasons why it is ineffective. A December 16th, 2021 article by Sentient Media states that over 90% of drugs proven to be safe and effective in animal models fail in human clinical trials. And a July 6th, 2023 article by the Humane Society International states that data shows that animal studies fail to predict real human outcomes in 50 to 99.7% of cases. So obviously this is a major number of just amount of animals who are being tested on by humans that it's not going to work, or animals, and it's not going to work for humans when it's put to the real world. So this is another reason that it's ineffective. And because animals have very different compositions than humans, the anatomy and physiology of an animal is too different to prove how it's going to affect a human, and this causes a lot of unsafe experiences for humans because there are tests that are done on animals that come out fine and they think it'll work out on a human, but it really won't because they're too different. There's alternatives to animal testing. There is many different techniques such as using human organs, cells, or tissues, computer modeling techniques, or even human volunteers, which all of these would better predict how a drug or a cosmetic or a medication might affect a human. So this is called the lung on a chip, and it's basically lined with human lung cells, and this can be injected with different medication or diseases and tested on later to see how this will affect the human lung on a cell. So obviously this isn't a real organ, but it can also be used in real organs. But this just shows this could also be done with liver cells or brain cells or just whatever organ they might want to use. So this is just one way that they can do to test things different than animals. And obviously there are so many other advancements and things that can be thought of and that can become of ways to test this. So now that we have talked about the ineffectiveness of animal testing, let's move on to discuss why animal testing is harmful to the environment. So there are many reasons that animal testing is harmful to the environment. An article by Intech Open from November 3rd, 2022 explains different reasons that animal testing is harmful to the environment, such as there's different toxic wastes and environmental exposure to the diseases that are being put into these animals or that the animals get whenever they're in these close quarters together and being tested on. Disposal of the animals and also the materials can lead to release of chemicals and radioactive material into the world, which will negatively affect water and air quality. There is also the materials being used, syringes, needles, cages, wires, or just whatever they're using to test these animals. These get disposed into the world, and causes a lot of pollution and littering. Animal carcasses are very bad for the environment. They have a large emission of gases, and overall there is just heavy contamination because of animal testing. It pollutes our earth heavily, and it makes these conditions very unhealthy for the environment and for the people living in it. So, today we have discussed why animal testing should not be continued. First, because it's cruel and it causes pain and suffering for animals. Second, because it's ineffective. And third, because it's harmful to the environment. So I hope because of this presentation you could see how dangerous it is for many reasons, how cruel it is, and how there are just different various ways that we can do something other than animal testing, because it'll improve the lives of animals, humans, the environment, and overall it'll just be better for everybody. And so that is my presentation, and thank you for listening.